Good morning. Now, about 20 months ago, I made a DIY range extender for my Orbea Gain, and it would work with any bike that has the Mahle X35, X35 Plus motor system. And I made a video about how to make one for yourselves, and it's had something like 14,000 views, and it's also had dozens, if not more, questions and requests to do a follow-up, so I can let you know how I'm getting on with it. So here's that vid. So the routine, once the bike's on the stand, I just pop the buckles. It's like a little dry bag one I've got. Take out my tools, they go there. I then reach in. Now, are you going to be able to see? Let's get a torch. Absolutely can't tell if it's in focus, apologies for that. But you can see there, nestled at the bottom, is the battery, encased in white plastic on the left, and on the right hand side is the, I forgot what they're called, ideal diode. There we go, the ideal diode in a little box. And all I do is I just reach in, and using the cable, I just gently pull it out as far as here. I can then undo the XT60 and pull out the battery. So there's the range extender battery. That'll go down on the floor here. And then what I've got inside is the male, is this? No, it's the female XT60 plug. And I then have, I'm hoping this is all being picked up, I've got a battery charger. This is the original Ebikemotion battery charger. I just sit that on the saddle. And that, because I've cut off the original charging plug and replaced it with this XT60 male, that just plugs in to there. It's very, very simple. This is the original connector cut from the charger that I showed you how to make one. So you need to re-plug that back in. Don't need to do the lock nut. And this just plugs in to a socket I have handy. There we go, light comes on. It's full already. But well, that's just doing a little bit of charging. So that just sits there, charging away, charging the internal battery. And what I do with the other battery is I have a seconds charger, a very, very standard 36 volt 2 amp charger, and I have I've cut the original connector off that, and I do the same thing here. It's just a matter of plugging in, as simple as that. So I've got the two charging at the same time, and it takes about 4 hours if it's fairly empty. I tend to charge every ride because I never know what my next ride is going to be. I always like to think that the next ride is going to be a whopper, and so I make sure that I've got both batteries fully charged so I'm ready to go if I feel the need. So of course when you're done, it's exactly the opposite. This just unplugs. This one's always been a bit tight actually, I don't know why. Come on you beast. That goes there ready. Then unplug the second one. I used to have the chargers all nicely wired and put away so that everything was exactly to hand. But then I started doing bike packing, and of course you have to take the chargers with you. So I haven't bothered with that now. Everything is just right in front. It makes it a lot easier to deal with. So putting the battery back, I hold the ideal diode box out of the way with one hand, slide it in so far, that plugs back in, that slides back down to the bottom of the bag, tools back in, rolled up, plugged in. Yeah, you get the idea. What else do I do? No, that's it. And when I'm ready to go, everything is all connected inside there. You just saw me do that. All I need to do to get the system working is to plug this in and close the lock. Oops, and close the lock screw thingy. And then the system comes on all by itself. I had planned to use a button switch. There's just no need. It's just something else to go wrong or something else to get caught in the way of things. I like to keep it as simple as possible. So there's no need for a switch. There are no sparks going on because there are no voltage differences, because I was trying to make sure that the two batteries are at the same voltage. When I've forgotten, it's usually the range extender which hasn't charged. So I've been out and I noticed that the iWalk button turns green a bit earlier than I would expect, simply because I've forgotten to charge the range extender battery. There's never a problem because the ideal diode will deal with a current a voltage difference in that direction. I've never actually gone the other way. I've never actually done it so that the range extender has been charged fully and the internal battery has been low. I don't really want to either because it's been working absolutely perfectly until now. Like I say, thousands and thousands of miles, not a single glitch the whole time, and I do ride most days, and I'm not going to try anything that changes what's going at the moment because it's working so perfectly. So if you've forgotten what it looks like, it's the battery with an XT60. That came like that. I then soldered on a female to two short cables. One goes into the ideal diode here, the other one bypasses it and goes straight through. It's so simple. It's one soldered joint there. These two are, as you can see, just looped around and screwed and crimped. I actually soldered them as well just to be certain. There's a tiny little cable that comes off to actually feed a little bit of power into the diode itself. And the only thing I've changed are these two spade connectors. Now what I do now is I just pull those apart so that I can feed this cable through the two different bags that I use. Because I also have this big one that I use, 16 litre Altura Vortex 2, which I use for bike packing. And so what I've done is that I've just made a little hole in the nose there so that I can put the spare battery, the extender battery, in this big seat pack and carry on using it as normal. So that means that I need to swap the battery between two different packs. Otherwise I physically won't be able to get this through the bag. If I just unclip those two spade terminals, I can feed that, because I've staggered them, they go through a much smaller hole in the bag. And that's it. It's very simple, really simple. And this is the problem I had with other people, shall we say, charging £500–600 for a battery and for that tiny little ideal diode and a few connectors. I spent a little bit more on my battery pack, so that was 110 euros, and that's because it comes with quality cells in it. They're Samsung cells, so I know that they're going to be good. And I've already noticed the slight difference in voltage between the two, the internal batteries, which I think are Panasonic. I think they're Panasonic. The Samsung ones are lasting slightly better than the internal cells. It's a tiny difference. It's 0.1, 0.2 of a volt, but it's noticeable, and it means that I have at least bought a good quality battery, extender battery. So you're going to ask the inevitable question, what's the range? The range is going to be slightly better than double your existing range. Doesn't matter what I do, we're all different. you will get slightly more than twice the range if you use a battery like this one, which is a 7 amp hour battery. So it's double the capacity, you'll get double the range. It's as simple as that. There are some slight efficiencies that you get from having two batteries in parallel. You don't get a thing called voltage sag. So when a battery is put under load, it actually dips below its actual voltage until the load is released. Because it's essentially a bigger battery now, that voltage sag doesn't happen to the same extent. So you will get a slightly more power than just using your own internal battery, and you'll get slightly improved efficiencies because of it. So you get slightly more than twice the range. My range, if you're really going to really push me on it, I'm quite fit despite my size, and I say range is an element of meters climbed, not distance, because if you're in Norfolk or in the Netherlands, you ride until you're tired. You could keep riding because you're going to be mostly above the cut-off speed. The longest ride I've done is 204 kilometers, and I used 58% of the internal battery only because it was flat. When it comes to actual climbing, and I've been doing a ride that involves a lot of climbing, I've worked out that I would be able to do somewhere between 2,000 meters and 2,400 meters of climbing on a fairly arduous route. So it's going to be quite a lot of 6% in there, some 10s, probably nothing more than 10%. That's a lot of climbing. If I was climbing 2,400 meters, I probably would want to get off and have a cup of tea at least, and I probably wouldn't even include that in a ride. It's just a bit too much for me. But the batteries can do it. The two batteries together could do that. So what this comes down to is that I never think about the batteries. I never get range anxiety. I know it's way past anything that I'm likely to do. I don't think about it. I don't need to think about it. And that's the loveliest thing about having this range extender. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm going to try and keep it short. I hope it isn't going to be a long one. I'm hopeless at making short videos. If you've got any other questions, just ask them in the comments. I answer every comment and every question. So far away, and thanks for watching.